Welcome back to Too Many Hans podcast. My name is Sam, and today we're going to be going through what happened over in Vegas at the Galactic Championship. So far we've had some PQs, we've had some sectors, some regionals, and I've gone to a few of all of them. But the one event I did not go to was the biggest event of the year, the biggest event in Star Wars Limited history, actually, the Galactic Championship. So with this Galactic Championship, we had new set releases, or not new set release, but new set release news, new spoilers, a brand new leaderboard system that came out a few days ago, totally new meta, an unexpected turn of events in our top 8, and a new world champion. So today we're going to come back to the Star Wars scene after being gone for quite a while. I know, I'm sorry. But we're back and we're finally ready to make some content, and right now we're ready to talk about what happened over in Las Vegas and what happened with our meta and where is it currently and where we're going in the future, and let's figure it out. So to start, what really happened over there in Vegas? There were several hundred people from what I heard, several thousand. I did not actually go, but our top 8 consisted of some Han Solo with the Risk, some Kylo Ren Tarkin Town, which I would like to say that I did make the call that Kylo Ren was going to be a great deck. I just used the wrong base and wrong secondary color, but the thought's still there, you know what I mean? And ultimately, it was taken down by a Mother Talzin with the Red Force base over by Betten from Enigma, who we have a picture on the left, and sporting his fancy cardboard box with the champion prize in it. I think it was like a standee or a little glass trophy. But yeah, he did some amazing work throughout the weekend. We saw him on stream and he played the deck really beautifully. I have the same deck built and I'm going to change it to ultimately what he has and compare what I have versus what he has, but obviously, he just won Vegas, and I'm not nearly that good, so I think we know which deck's going to be better. But, yeah, Kylo Tarkin Town had 2 different decks represented in the top 4 between Bothan Network people, and it was crazy. So, let's see what else we got. This was the champion deck list, sporting some Acolyte of the Beyond, Anakin Skywalker from Set 5, Darth Tyrannus from Set 5, Director Krennic, Grand Inquisitor, Jedi in Hiding, Karis, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Night Sister Warrior, Purge Troopers, which is a very spicy addition, and I have not seen in many other decks. Same with the Sun, don't see that much anymore. Secretive Sage, Talzin, Devastators, Force Lightning, which I absolutely love that card's making a comeback. I have not seen that played since Set 1 due to lack of other options, but now that it's coming back, I absolutely love it because I have several copies. Force Throw, which Force Throw is its own beast. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Power of the Dark Sides, Arm to the Teeth, Fallen Lightsabers, and Hotshot Blaster, even though it's out of aspect when you have to smuggle it. But I do not believe he paid the 5 for it at any point during this weekend. I'm not saying he cheated, I don't think he paid the 5 to smuggle a +2 attack. I don't know. I didn't see all of his games, but I don't know. This is a really good deck from sideboard to main deck to everything. His sideboards, like we have some Heroism Ki-Adi-Mundis, we have some Chams to counter the ramp, we have Crate Dragons because Crate Dragons are just insane. Planetary Bombardments to pair well with those Devastators, and even if they aren't there, just solid 8 indirect damage when this deck can probably clear out most of the units that his opponent plays is just beautiful. I am going to make this list as fast as my hands can work once this video is done to take to weeklies, and especially for the move to college, which we'll also talk about that later and where I'm going to be going. But this deck is beautiful. I love that how easy it is to gain the Force between just even playing Acolyte of the Beyond. If they immediately kill it, it's yours. If they let you attack with it, that 2 damage plus the Force being gained. Director Krennic is the only card that I'm like, I'm not entirely sure why that's here when we have Secretive Sage right over here, except maybe to have Night Sister Warrior cost 1 or Jedi in Hiding cost 2. But I don't know, it's still, or Karis, I guess. Karis? I'm not sure. I'm going to mispronounce that several times on this podcast, but we'll talk about it. But yeah, I guess that's good. But every other card is spicy, like the Suns, the Purge Troopers, Armed to the Teeth. It's awesome, and I love it. And this deck, I am so glad that he won with it and gave Mother Talzin some love after I pulled the showcase. It's 10 out of 10. This deck, there was exactly 2 that I believe were mirrors of each other in the top 4. And I absolutely love this deck too. If I had enough of these blue legendaries, blue and red cards in general, honestly, I'd probably have both of these decks waiting at locals for people to hate me with how much blue-red I'm playing. But we got some Admiral Mahdi's, Anakin Skywalker, Karis, Lompike, Miggs Mayfield, Secretive Sage, Witch of the Mist, which if you play Witch of the Mist turn 1, Force Throw as well on turn 1 with your 2 resources, that is a huge turnaround, and I've had that happen to me several times online, and it does not fun. But I don't know, it's still a really good play. We got 3 Force Lightnings, 3 Force Throws, we got some Pillages, Power of the Dark Side, Battle Fury, which is an interesting play for this deck, some Constructed Lightsabers, Fallen Lightsabers, Heroic Resolve, Hotshot DL44 Blaster, Infiltrator's Skill, Perilous Position, Sith Holocron, and some out-of-aspect Snapshot Reflexes. I believe this deck has 18 or 19 upgrades. I did the math. Not very well because I'm very bad at math, but it's very, very good chances that you'll always have an upgrade, whether that's for better or worse, to then cycle, get that card draw online, bring out this absolute beast of a Kylo, and hopefully then be able to pay the 3 and Snapshot Reflexes it before they can use some upgrade hate or some removal or anything and just smack around their base and hopefully finish like the game-ending blow with it. But if you can't, there's still other options and just bringing it out as a beast. But I don't know, this is also a great deck. I'm also going to be changing my Kylo ECL into probably a Kylo Tarkin Town if I scrounge up enough, but these are just some beautiful, beautiful decks in the top 4. Moving on, we have the Han Solo Never Tell Me the Odds deck. This is my favorite deck that I have seen from Galactics. Absolutely beautiful. Who would have expected the probably worst of the 3 Hans that we have in our meta right now, not even in our meta, in our game right now, to be in the top 8. Yes, we had some Han Solo Never Tell Me the Odds. Yes, we had some Han Solo Worth the Risks. We had no set 1 Hans, but we're still having some Hans to keep the Too Many Hans podcast name going. If we have no Hans in our meta at all, maybe we'll consider a name change. But right now, this deck and a few other decks are proving why that name is so good. I don't know, we got some Boshex and some C-3POs to keep the card draw going. Poe Dameron is just an absolute beast, and just this Swarm deck, I love what it has going on. It's got all of the good of Vader Yellow and all of the absolute nastiness of Quinlan Tarkentown. Beautiful. Being able to use, for turn 1, use your ability and see what the top card of your deck is, and then play C-3PO, get that free card draw, and then immediately have more cards in your starting hand. Doesn't prevent, but it helps a lot against Force Throw and other hand hate like Pillage and stuff that's in the meta right now. We've got Mining Guild ties to keep those card draw going. I mean, this deck is awesome. Sanctioneer Shuttle, so that if you play 2 of your 1-drops turn 1, you can capture something, or even later down the line capture something because of how heavy the upgrade meta is right now. Different pilots, different upgrades on smaller units, playing like a Gungi turn 1 and then Generals blading it. If you capture that, not only do they now have the Gungi to attack with or gain the Force with, they also don't have that General's blade upgrade because it just immediately gets discarded. Beautiful. Let's move on. So, we've talked a little bit about top 8 decks. Talked a little bit about what won, what got second, fourth. An awesome Han deck. Where are we currently? If you're showing up to locals, or if you're showing up to any event like a PQ Store Showdown, what are you going to see? The one answer that crosses my mind is Force Throw. This card is being run out of aspect in almost any deck we have because of how high the force to regular units rate has gone up since the release of Set 5. I believe my friend did the math, Tanner, over on the one of our other podcasts we went on. It went up by an astronomical amount. But Han 2 is most commonly where it's being run, especially in blue heroism with Han. But Force Throw is going to be everywhere. If you have your hyperspace Force Throws, sell them now while the stock is high before they get banned in a few weeks, because that's where my mind is headed, that it's probably going to get banned. But yeah, But right now, blue in general is the meta. If it's not blue, it's Han 2. And if it's not either of those things, it has Force Throw in it. Those are three key factors that almost every meta deck, with some very, very slight exceptions, like Vader 4 and Han 4, are going to have. But this is the current majority of the meta. If you look at the standings of what all went to Vegas and what all the deck conversion rate was, we have nearly literally short of a 300 deck count of Han Solo Worth the Risk, especially in blue Vigilance Force. If you take out the archetype of it having to have a certain base, Han Solo Worth the Risk was several hundred people, and several hundred higher than any other specific leader that was in the meta at all or being played at all. It's just that good. This isn't accounting for any of the regular green base players, any of the Data Vault players, any of the regular blue base players. It is huge right now. And while yes, Darth Vader is second, it's not even a close second. It's not even half. It's astronomically low. And I would say that Darth Vader yellow, I don't know about Cad Bane, and I don't know about Sabine, are probably our outliers for if it doesn't have Force Throw and it isn't blue. Those are like the specific outliers, because I don't think Sabine is running it. I know Darth Vader isn't running it. Quinlan I know is running it. Kira is blue. Anakin's blue. Kylo's blue. Cad Bane doesn't run it, but that's not really a meta deck in my opinion. I mean, all of these decks, you see those hints of red, and whatever isn't red is blue. It's just a fact. That is what is the meta. That is what is going to continue to be the meta. The only reason Darth Vader isn't is because you can completely lane dodge all these Force decks. And you have such low cost units that when you're getting Force Throwed, because that's what's bound to happen now, you have such low cost that your Victor leader is probably safe and all of these other things. So it is absolutely a dominant meta right now. Even more dominant, in my opinion, than DJ or Django was. Or if not there, it is very, very close that Han 2 is dominating the meta like Django used to be. Let's go to the next slide. This is a common list of what Han 2 looks right now. This was pulled from the mirrors that were in the top 8. The only outliers to this deck specifically, I would say the Obi-Wans, the Chewie, the Force is with me, and probably the Daughter are the only real quote-unquote spice in this list. Everything else is pretty much an auto-include when bringing this list. Usually it's more Anakin heavy. Usually it's more, Luke and Crate focused. You can see there's obviously 3 Force Throws and 3 Fells, 3 Churrits, 3 Owens, the regular stuff. The 2 Secretive Sage and 2 Yaddle, or 3 Secretive Sage and 3 Yaddles to get the Force online. 3 Ki-Adi-Mundis, 3 Mace Windus, but 3 Grogus, because that's become a huge turn 1 play nowadays. The sideboard's got Upgrade Hate, Bombing Run to take care of Vaders, Obi-Wans, because I don't know how that became such a good unit recently. 1 Tech, because that spice is just beautiful when you're going against Mill. It's got everything it needs to just be red, blue, Yeah, red, blue, and just absolutely beautiful. I don't know. But this right here is, if you're going to any sort of tournament or any sort of thing competitively, this is what you play around. And the reason that all of these Kylo Tarkin towns and Mother Talzin Red Force Base did so well is because they planned against this deck and just knew that it could beat it. So it showed up, it did beat it, it ate alive in day 1 and 2, and it made it to day 3 because this was the list to beat going into Vegas. Overall, I've heard a lot of good things and a lot of bad things about Vegas. A lot of bad things being about how the prizing ran out incredibly fast, about people are kind of scalping this event specifically, buying all these showcases in bulk quantities, turning around and selling 6 of them for several $100s, which meant a lot of people couldn't get any, or the Super Laser Blast specifically going for $120+ because everyone bought them day 1 or day 2, and then there were none left after a while. You know, like the playable cards were gone super quick, which is bound to happen, but then are being turned around and sold specifically for profit at crazy values to get back the money for Vegas. And while, yes, that's bound to happen in some quantities, from what I'm hearing, it's being massively boosted. You can't buy most of these cards for under a certain price. These silver pack Vaders are going for several $100s, or at least over 150. These silver packs in general are selling for 90 because people were going in and buying them just to resell. I'm hearing a lot of things about prizing, and I wasn't specifically there to talk on it, but I do think there should have been some prizing limits put into play. You can only get so many of these if you're at one time, and link it to your melee when they're registering it. And yes, it would have taken longer for prize wall lines, but they should have had more employees to deal with that. That's another one of the things that I've heard that I'm just probably not going to talk about because I wasn't there. I don't know what these lines looked like. I don't know what all the prize wall even looked like outside of some of photos like this. And I don't know how many people they had on staff, but everything that I've heard have said it wasn't enough. And FFG, when it comes to SWU events that I have gone to, have gone very well. Minneapolis and Richmond, it took a little bit to get our prize stuff. We didn't get our Medal Initiative tokens, but everything other than that ran pretty good, ran pretty well. I got what I wanted from it, and it was a fun event. While Vegas would have been an insanely fun event, would have been great to meet all you guys, everything like that, it didn't sound like it went as smooth as it could have. A lot of things were messed up due to people and certain staff members, specifically like the deck lists being public after day 1, and how a lot of people were not happy with that decision because it was online for, I believe, around 10 minutes. And once they realized the error that had happened, they decided, alright, in case some players got an unfair advantage to look at certain deck lists, we're going to make the whole thing public. We didn't know who saw what, we didn't know anything about anything, so they made the decision to just make everything public. And I believe, from what I've seen, there was time before the rounds to look at your opponent's deck list or something like that. And even if there wasn't, even as you're on the way to the table, you can pull up Melee and see what your opponent's running. That doesn't seem incredibly fair, in my opinion. That seems kind of not great as you're trying to, you know, for off-meta decks, they're trying to give them the element of surprise. For these Han Solo Never Tell Me the Odds, it's, alright, I'm going to swarm you, but you don't know with what, and I'm going to throw all these random things at you, putting in spice, putting in whatever, like those Kylo Tarkin towns were. They had these snapshot reflexes in there that I bet you didn't know they had out of Aspect. But with these open deck lists, not only are you showing all of what's in your deck, your opponent's doing the same thing. It's a very awkward situation that didn't happen at Richmond or Minneapolis, thankfully, or else it would have gone for a really poor experience, and I'm sorry to the players that had to go through that. The other thing I heard was about casting, and this one I was following along very, very close over the days that Vegas was going on, for all days 1, 2, and 3, but heavily on days 1 and 3. And it was hosted by Ice Cave Radio and Main Deck Dan, and I have to say it went very, very well. I've heard a lot of different people talking about how they wish it would have been more professional, they wish they would have had more specialized podcasters. I completely disagree. If you would have put me up there as one of the 3 people casting this event for 3 days in a row, it would have gone absolutely terribly. These 3 handled it very, very well. They did a lot of things right. They did very good for the situation that they were put in. They're kind of just sitting there watching everything unfold, and it went just like how all of the other casting that I watched, like Next Gen Gaming or C-Raptor or a lot of other people do it, that while those people are more professional casters, these guys tried to act like they were, and they did their best, and I ultimately think it was a very good experience. And yeah, like, I just really liked watching it, and they made it enjoyable. So I would not have changed the casting whatsoever. So with Vegas, and specifically Day 3, they gave us a lot of information. Coming for Secrets of Power, and for sets 7, 8, and 9, and it was not overwhelming, but a lot to think about, and a lot more that we should be thinking about rotation more heavily, because we do only have one set, and then the next set after that becomes rotation, and what we're going to have to adjust with, and possible bans that are coming up. But with the information we're given right now, we've got 3 new sets coming. One of them, A Lawless Time, for set 7. Set 8 is going to be Ashes of the Empire, and set 9 is going to be Homeworlds. I've heard a lot of speculation online that we're getting a more Bounty Hunter Underworld themed set for set 7. Set 8 is going to be more Imperial Remnants, Moff Gideon, and Thrawn type stuff, and Homeworlds is going to be more of, focusing on what the traits underneath the bases are going to be like, and include something cool there. I'm not going to go into speculation about all that. I'm not going to make some random BS up as I go about how all of those sets can go. I am going to be absolutely grateful for whatever they give us. Pray that we get a Han, Luke, and Leia in one of these 3 sets, and just be happy with whatever. But we were given some Secrets of Power news and some spoilers, and so I'm going to start diving into that, because that is what we can speculate with, and that is what we are going to be getting spoilers for soon. So we got 2 new leaders, and these are going to be the starter, spotlight deck leaders. We've got Chancellor Palpatine, How Liberty Dies. You pay 1, and you exhaust him to search the top 5 cards of your deck for a card with plot, and plot is the new keyword where when you deploy a leader, you have the ability to play that card. So if you have 10 resources and you have 2 of them that have plot, you can play both of them. I believe this is how the keyword works. If I'm wrong, totally call me out on it. But you have to play them when your leader is deployed. And so Chancellor Palpatine takes advantage of that by having you draw those cards. And when he deploys, you can play a card using plot that costs 3 less. So we were shown at least 1 card with plot, or I believe it's 2 at least. Jar Jar Binks and Cad Bane, but we'll go into those and I'll explain how that synergy is going to work. And he's a Republic official, 7 cost, 6/8, so he comes out on 7. And I think he looks absolutely really good right now, depending on what all stuff we get with plot. I know we got one event that it looks really good with and really busted with right now, but I want to see what else we get before I jump to judgment. But Padme is the one I'm really interested in. When you reveal or discard 1 or more cards from your hand, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, deal 1 damage to a unit. 6 cost deploy for 3/8, and when you reveal, you may deal 1 or more damage to a unit. But it's innate, so you can do it every time that you reveal or discard. Now, she is very interesting in a discard meta. We have Pillage, we have Force Throw, but this is more specific to your own hand. We're going to get something with revealing cards with certain aspects and specific cards that you discard and revealing certain things that is really interesting to me, because shredding your own hand is always a negative, but now we have a leader that it works with. So if you force throw a Crate Dragon out of your own hand, not only are you doing that force throw damage, but then you exhaust Padme and you have an extra something to deal a damage to. We'll have to dive deeper into this as we get a lot more discard this set, because I already imagine we're going to be getting a whole spotlight deck just around discarding and revealing, which is either going to be really fun or really awful, because getting pillaged is the worst feeling in the world when you have 2 cards left in your hand, and that just sucks. So I hope this kind of fixes some of that or reverses some of that. So these are the batch of cards that we were given publicly. We'll go into the ones that were supposed to be in the secret, like, conference meeting panel that I obviously did not go to, but I saw a picture from. We've got Cad Bane, 4/5. When played, you may defeat a unit with 2 or less remaining HP with plot. You got your tokens right in the middle for Spy that are 0/2 with Raid 2. Now these, I believe, you make by using certain events, using certain units, and right underneath is the I Am the Senate event that creates 5 of these. For 6, that seems really good. That's 10 possible damage on board for 6, but I don't know. Bombing Run will really clear that up really fast. We have pay 2 for a blue cost upgrade, Armor of Fortune. You gain 3 health and you gain plot, but I don't know how that's going to work when you already want to deploy that card from your resources or your hand by the time that you deploy a leader. So that doesn't really make sense to me, how you're upgrading a card with plot that has to be played by the time you deploy your leader. I don't know if I'm not understanding the card or if they didn't understand how the mechanic worked when they made this card, but we'll touch back on that later. We have a 1-cost green-black Corrupt Politician, 2/2 when you control more units than an opponent. This gains Sentinel. And then number 1, the Villainy. This is the card that's really busted. Play a card with plot from your resources, paying its cost. Put the top card of your deck into play as a resource. So basically you're turning plot into Smuggle, and Smuggle is a very, very good mechanic. For paying 1 to turn something into Smuggle seems incredibly good as soon as you deploy a leader. Those different leaders with when deployed actions or any of that stuff with an automatic Smuggle when it comes out seems very, very good. On the other side, we have pay 1, Yellow Heroism, Furtive Handmaiden, 2/2. On attack, you may discard a card from your hand. If you do draw a card, very good synergy with Padme with the discarding to deal damage. 4-cost Captain Typho. When this unit is attacked, you may disclose a green heroism unit. If you do, deal 1 damage from your, or heal 1 damage from your base. Obviously supposed to work with Padme. You're revealing. You're probably also doing the damage and exhausting when you have Captain Typho out and you reveal that. Anakin is very interesting because he's a 3-cost heroism cunning. 3/4 hidden, not great, force unit. But while you control Padme Amidala as a leader unit or as a unit, or as a leader like still not deployed, this unit gains Raid 2. That's very interesting for a 5 power swing for 3 cost that has 4 health and hidden. That might be a very well meta card if this deck becomes good. And it might actually make this deck a lot better with Anakin in it. But I don't know, we'll figure that out. We have a 2-cost green Jar Jar Binks unit that when played, give another friendly unit +2/+2 for this phase with plot. So it's obviously meant to be played from your resources or your hand. Pay the 2, give the buff to your leader as soon as you deploy them. Very good, very obvious, but it still looks fun. 1-cost C-3PO, 1/3 action, return this unit to its owner's hand, give a unit +2/+2 for this phase. That's really good. That's just a 1-cost cheap green unit that's going to be good for buffing other units, probably in a swarm deck, like something like Rey or something, I'd imagine. But we'll have to see where all of these cards go and what other spoilers we get. But in the secret panel, we got 3 cards specifically, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name, so I'm just going to call him Major, the 2-cost green-black unit Major, because I never finished Andor. 0/6, crazy, with Overwhelm on a unit that hits for 0. But when another friendly official unit attacks, this unit gets +2/+2 for this phase. I'm assuming there's going to be something with officials that totally shakes up this meta, because if he has Overwhelm and he is a 2/8 after a friendly unit attacks, that still doesn't seem amazing to me. There's got to be something I'm missing, or another deck that is going to make that a lot better. 3 cost, Aggression Heroism, Kadel, 3/2 resistance, not a great stat line, but when played you may defeat all non-unique upgrades on a unit. It's pretty good against Kylo right now, except for upgrades like Kylo's lightsaber and specific other ones, but it has plot, so that's not bad at all. And then we have a 3 cost, 3/4 Rebel, Marva Andor. When defeated, give an experience token to each friendly Rebel unit. That's pretty good. That's not bad. If Leia ever sees play again, that'll definitely be an include. Not bad at all. I like to see it. So we also got news as to what the future tournament standings are going to look like. It isn't anymore just buy a ticket to Vegas, be one of the lucky few that gets the VIP or tries to get their tournament ticket and just shows up. It is now you have to be invited. There are going to be 1 Galactic Championship. There's going to be a few sectors. There's going to be 9 sectors, 3 regionals, and 510 planetary qualifiers. That is a very, very high number. For Galactics, it's going to be invite only, so we don't know how many it's going to be people-wise. For, I believe this is regionals, it's 1,000 max players. For sectors, it is 512 max players. And then for planetaries, it is 128 max players. So if you're getting your PQ tickets, get them now because they're starting to be capped. This might change. We don't know how it's going to go. But we know that regional sectors and planetaries are open so far. So when those tickets come out, buy them as soon as you can, just like how Vegas was. Do what you got to do. Galactics, however, we still have yet to find out more information on how that's going to go next July. We do know, by showing up at these events, how you can qualify to go to Vegas by winning all these different events. You need 100 points to be invited on this big leaderboard that we also have posted up at StarWarsUnlimited.com/leaderboard. I'm not on it. I'm not cool enough to probably ever be on it, but we're going to go to a lot of different events and try. PQs, you get 100 points for winning, 35 points for being second place, 25 points for getting top 4, and 15 points for getting top 8. Sectors, 250, finalists, 200, top 4, 150, top 8, 100, top 16, 50, top 32, 25, and top 64, 15. So, by the looks of it, you get 100 to be invited. There has to be other perks the more points you get, whether it's prizing, whether it's VIP treatment, whether it's they fly you out there, buy you a hotel, whatever it is. The more points you get, there's got to be a bigger reward. So players like Raytan, who are absolutely amazing players, would win PQs and would either probably just concede before playing the finals or would just be like, alright, I've gone to enough PQs, I've won enough stuff, we're good. I'm not sure if they're going to continue to do that because now there's more incentive to not, and to maybe that means you get a day 2 buy if you get 250 points, or we're not entirely sure yet. But obviously the more points you get, the higher standing you're in on that leaderboard, the better perks you get. And we don't know what those perks are, but I'm sure they're going to reveal them in the next coming months. So now we're going to talk a little bit about where Too Many Hans is going to go. It's just me. I'm going to a lot of different stuff. I'm making the time to try and see all of you guys and to try and meet a bunch of new people and get the podcast out there, get the podcast going, and to hopefully be a part of FFG's content creator program. I know, we're dreaming big, but we're dreaming. So, I'm going to 3 different PQs in a 30-day span. Or maybe a little more than 30 days because the 23rd through September 27th. I'm going to Indianapolis, Lansing, Whitmore Lake, all across the few states that I'm going to. And if I can find time to go to any other PQs, I will be. These are just the ones that I have already bought tickets for, and I have plans and have rides and everything planned out for. The Michigan GT, this is the first year they're hosting SWU. This is a big event. I know other people that are going for other things like Marvel Crisis Protocol and Star Wars Shatterpoint. But I'm going to try and make it, or room with somebody that is going to go specifically for the October 4th event for the SWU champion, not championship, but like just tournament thing. That one isn't an FFG event. I just know that it's going to be fun. I know the layout of the place. It was a cool event for the GT playing Crisis Protocol, even though I did get last place, which you can look that up in last year's Michigan GT for Marvel Crisis Protocol. I did, in fact, get last place. Yes, I know. Hold your applause. But these are the events that I'm going to. Try and say hi. Try and find me. I'm going to get some cool sleeves made up. I'm going to try and get a cool hat made up. We're going to try and get some merch so that when you see me, you can go, that guy probably has a podcast that says Too Many Hans on it because, you know, he has a lot of weird shit on him about that exact logo. But, yeah. So, right now, Too Many Hans podcast, me, is in the process of getting ready to go to college. I move in August 16th, let me check my calendar real quick. I believe it's August 16th because we fixed some stuff around today. And I have it marked in my calendar so I cannot forget that at least every other week to make a YouTube video on a specific day and to get some content out. I mean, right now it's 3 a.m. in the morning and I'm recording because I procrastinated way too hard about what I was going to talk about for video number 1 and my return to YouTube trying to get qualified for the streamer program. But yeah, we're going to put in the hours. We're going to get a lot of content out. We're going to do what we can. We're going to go to college and document my experiences with SWU down there. We're going to meet some new people, go to some big events, save up a lot of money, go to, hopefully the goal is to, on top of all these PQs, go to one regional in one sector. I am still a broke college student. I am still on a budget. But for, you know, different holidays, I'm going to be like, yo, give me money. We're going to start fundraising, selling off cards, selling showcases, serialized. Do what we got to do. Hustle to get to these different events to hopefully be invited to Vegas. So stick around. Keep track of my channel, subscribe, turn on notifications, do whatever you gotta do. But keep an eye on me, because there will be more. I will be putting out content that isn't super tired content that I'm stumbling over my words like I am right now. I will be putting out things that actually make sense and actually is knowledgeable and does have some expertise on what I'm saying, even though I don't right now. But yeah, so stick around. Keep watching, find out what happens, and I'll see you next time.